Hello, and welcome to Great Sleep. Get ready to listen and relax. Today I'm going to tell you a story about a cozy town library, which contains books with the memories of people who lived in this town. The town of Willowbrook was a place steeped in history and charm. Nestled among rolling hills and surrounded by a lush forest, it exuded an air of tranquility. At the heart of this idyllic town stood a cozy library, its walls lined with shelves upon shelves of books. It was here that Emily Thompson found solace and a deep love for preserving memories. Emily was a young woman with an insatiable appetite for stories. She devoured books of all genres, immersing herself in the lives of fictional characters and the worlds they inhabited. But it was the library in Willowbrook that held a special place in her heart. Its warm, inviting atmosphere beckoned her, drawing her in like a moth to a flame. Every day after work, Emily would make her way to the library, seeking refuge from the demands of the outside world. She would wander through the aisles, running her fingers along the spines of the books, feeling a sense of comfort wash over her. The smell of old paper and ink filled her nostrils, transporting her to another time and place. But there was one section of the library that Emily found particularly intriguing. Tucked away in a corner, hidden behind a curtain of cobwebs, was a collection of old, forgotten books. The faded leather bindings and yellowed pages whispered tales of times long gone. It was as if these books held secrets waiting to be discovered. Emily gingerly opened one of the forgotten books, its delicate pages crackling under her touch. To her surprise, instead of a fictional tale, she found herself immersed in a memory. The words on the page transported her to a time when the town of Willowbrook was still in its infancy, its streets bustling with life. She read about the founding families, their struggles and triumphs, their hopes and dreams. Each memory revealed a different aspect of the town's history, painting a vivid picture of the lives that had shaped it. Emily was captivated by the stories of love, friendship, and resilience that unfolded before her eyes. As Emily delved deeper into the forgotten books, she discovered heartwarming stories that touched her soul. She read about a young couple who had overcome great odds to build a life together, their unwavering love serving as an inspiration to all who knew them. She learned about a group of friends who had formed an unbreakable bond during times of hardship, their laughter echoing through the pages. With each story she encountered, Emily felt her own heart swell with joy and compassion. These memories were not just fragments of the past, they were windows into the human experience, reminding her of the power of love and resilience. But not all memories were filled with joy and triumph. As Emily continued her exploration, she stumbled upon stories that were painful and filled with sorrow. She read about families torn apart by tragedy, their lives forever altered by loss. She encountered tales of prejudice and injustice, reminding her of the darker side of humanity. These stories weighed heavy on Emily's heart, and she found herself grappling with a whirlwind of emotions. But she knew that these memories, too, were an integral part of the town's history. They represented the struggles and hardships that had shaped its residents, and she couldn't turn away from them. Driven by her curiosity and empathy, Emily decided to reach out to the townspeople mentioned in the memories she had read. She wanted to hear their stories firsthand, to connect with the individuals who had lived through the events that now resided within the pages of the forgotten books. She started by visiting the elderly residents of Willowbrook, sitting with them in their cozy living rooms as they shared their memories. Their eyes would light up as they recounted tales from their youth, their voices filled with nostalgia. Emily listened intently, capturing every detail, every emotion, as if she were a vessel for their stories. One afternoon, Emily found herself sitting across from Mrs. Jenkins, a sprightly woman in her late 80s who had been mentioned in one of the memories she had discovered. Mrs. Jenkins' eyes sparkled with mischief as she began to recount her story. It was the summer of 1952, Mrs. Jenkins began, her voice filled with warmth. I was just a young girl, full of dreams and aspirations. The town of Willowbrook was a tight-knit community back then, and everyone knew everyone else. We would gather at the town square every Sunday for picnics and games. Emily leaned in, captivated by Mrs. Jenkins' words. She could almost picture the scene unfolding before her eyes, the laughter and chatter filling the air. One day, Mrs. Jenkins continued, a group of us decided to organize a talent show to raise funds for a local charity. We spent weeks rehearsing our acts, from singing and dancing to magic tricks and poetry recitations. It was such an exciting time. Emily couldn't help but smile at Mrs. Jenkins' enthusiasm. She could sense the joy and camaraderie that had filled the town during that summer. The day of the talent show arrived, Mrs. Jenkins said, her eyes misting over with nostalgia. The town square was transformed into a makeshift stage, with colorful banners and twinkling lights. The whole town turned out to support us, cheering and clapping as each act took the stage. As Mrs. Jenkins shared her memories, Emily felt a deep connection forming between them. She understood the importance of preserving these stories, not just for herself, but for future generations as well. As Emily delved deeper into the memories and listened to the tales of the townspeople, she noticed a recurring name that piqued her curiosity. It appeared in several stories, yet no one in Willowbrook seemed to remember this person. Intrigued by this mystery, she set out to uncover the truth behind the forgotten individual. She spent hours scouring the library's archives, poring over old newspapers and records. Piece by piece, she began to unravel the story of a life lost to time. The more she discovered, the more determined she became to bring this forgotten memory back to life. One rainy afternoon, as Emily sifted through a box of old photographs, she stumbled upon a faded picture of a young man. His eyes sparkled with mischief, and there was a mischievous smile playing on his lips. The name written on the back of the photograph was the same one that had appeared in the memory she had read. With renewed determination, Emily set out to find anyone who might have known this young man. She visited the local retirement home, hoping to find someone who could shed light on the mystery. It was there that she met Mr. Johnson, an elderly gentleman who had lived in Willowbrook all his life. Mr. Johnson sat in his favorite armchair, a worn photo album resting on his lap. He looked up as Emily entered the room, his eyes filled with curiosity. "Good afternoon, Mr. Johnson," Emily greeted him with a warm smile. "I was wondering if you might be able to help me with something. I've come across a name in some old memories and photographs, and I was hoping you might remember this person." Mr. Johnson's eyes lit up with recognition as he studied the photograph Emily held out to him. "Why, that's Henry Thompson," he exclaimed, his voice filled with nostalgia. "He was quite the character back in the day. Always up to some mischief or another." Emily's heart skipped a beat as she realized that Henry Thompson was her great-grandfather, a man whose memory had been lost to time. With the help of Mr. Johnson and other townspeople, Emily pieced together the story of Henry Thompson's life. He had been a beloved member of the community, known for his infectious laughter and kind heart. But tragedy had struck when he was just a young man, cutting short his promising future. It was a somber tale of loss and heartbreak, one that had been buried beneath layers of time and forgetfulness. Henry had been involved in a fatal accident, leaving behind a grieving family and a town in mourning. The pain and sorrow had been too much to bear, and the townspeople had chosen to forget rather than confront their grief. As she read the accounts of the tragedy, tears welled up in Emily's eyes. The pain and sorrow were palpable, even after all these years. She couldn't help but wonder how such a significant event could have been erased from the collective memory of the town. With the newfound knowledge of her great-grandfather's story, Emily felt a deep sense of responsibility to restore his memory. She organized a community event at the library, inviting everyone to come together and honor the legacy of Henry Thompson. It was a chance for the town to reclaim a part of its history and acknowledge the pain that had been buried for far too long. The event was held on a sunny Saturday afternoon, with the library buzzing with excitement. Emily had worked tirelessly to create an exhibit showcasing Henry Thompson's life, complete with photographs, newspaper clippings, and personal mementos. The room was filled with townspeople of all ages, eager to learn about a forgotten chapter in their town's history. As Emily stood before the crowd, her heart swelled with gratitude and pride. She had never imagined that her quest to preserve memories would lead to such a profound moment of unity. "Thank you all for being here today," Emily began, her voice filled with emotion. "We gather here to honor the memory of Henry Thompson, a man whose life was tragically cut short, but whose spirit lives on in our hearts." She went on to share the story of Henry's life, weaving together the memories she had discovered with the accounts of those who had known him. As she spoke, the room fell silent, the weight of the past settling over everyone. In the aftermath of the community event, Willowbrook experienced a renewed sense of unity. The memories that had once been tucked away in forgotten books now became a shared heritage, binding the townspeople together. People began to understand that their stories, both joyful and painful, were an integral part of their identity. The library became a gathering place, where individuals would come to share their own tales and listen to those of others. It became a sanctuary for memories, a testament to the resilience and spirit of the people of Willowbrook. Emily's passion for preserving memories grew, and she became a guardian of the library's legacy, ensuring that no memory would be forgotten. As Emily reflected on her journey, she realized how profoundly it had impacted her understanding of memories. She had come to understand that memories were not just fragments of the past. They were threads that wove together the tapestry of human existence. They held the power to heal, to inspire, and to connect people across generations. She also learned that memories were not always easy to confront. They could be painful and evoke a myriad of emotions. But she had come to understand that it was in acknowledging and preserving these memories that true growth and healing could occur. The library in Willowbrook continued to be a cherished place, filled with stories waiting to be discovered and remembered. Emily's dedication to preserving memories had inspired others, and a team of volunteers joined her in the quest to document and share the town's history. Together, they created a digital archive, ensuring that the memories would be accessible to future generations. They organized storytelling workshops and community events, encouraging people to share their own stories and contribute to the ever-growing tapestry of Willowbrook's history. Emily knew that the library's legacy would live on, not just in the physical space, but in the hearts and minds of the townspeople. The forgotten books had served as a catalyst for change, reminding everyone of the importance of preserving and cherishing memories, both joyful and painful. And so, as the sun set over the town of Willowbrook, the library stood as a beacon of remembrance, its shelves filled with stories waiting to be discovered and treasured. Emily smiled, knowing that she had played a small part in preserving the rich tapestry of human experience.